Bum 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 for Azeroth. Wow, that was really good, man. You can tell that you're the one who has just come back from seeing Warcraft.
I have gone to see World of Warcraft. Yeah.
Yeah. What a.
No, let me get that right. Warcraft: The Beginning.
It's not World of Warcraft.
Not World of Warcraft. Warcraft: The Beginning.
Good correction. You know what? I have heard from multiple sources that is an important thing to get right, because apparently the game that many people are familiar with from being name-checked on the Big Bang Theory, nothing
endlessly,
else, apparently is not what is being realised on screen in this movie. This is sort of what happened before all that or something?
Yeah, so Warcraft was a game, and then it became World of Warcraft, which is the big giant online
Second
multiplayer
Life game.
Yeah.
For any of you out there who kind of think, well, you know, it's a video game movie, does it really count? Because there is a history of video game movies not really seeming like proper movies. When you, to be honest, when I think back to Tomb Raider, Street Fighter,
Prince of Persia,
Super Mario Brothers, of course.
Yeah.
But I think they have to be given proper attention because they're about to be a big thing on screen.
This is a full-on major motion picture, isn't it?
Over $100 million budget.
Yeah, Duncan Jones, well-regarded director behind the helm.
Yeah, a director of Moon, director of Source Code. So let's quickly just say what this movie is about. So what we have is orcs who live in a world that is kind of desolate, and they've got a mysterious magical leader with glowing eyes who's a kind of a hunchback.
Who can suck the life out of things.
Yeah, he's like a Dementor, you know, but a less friendly. You know, from Harry Potter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he does that. He drains the life out of all these people to create a gate which will allow these orcs to go into the human world so that they can dominate that world instead, which is rich and luscious and full of green things such as trees, Phil.
Yeah, such as trees. The peaceful world of Azeroth.
And once they get there, obviously they have to fight the humans. The humans are like, what is this extraterrestrial threat? What are we going to do about it? How are we going to save our world? Fair summary?
Yeah, don't trust immigration.
Well, no, come on, we can that's Angry Birds' problem, man. Like, I'm not going to jump into conclusions about Warcraft. So let's play a clip, shall we? And actually, I think it features the line that I just gave. This is two orcs kind of reminiscing and backslapping over, I can't remember what just happened. They won a battle, did they?
Yeah, something like that.
So here you go, enjoy some of the dialogue, the voices, and just try and picture a stunning landscape as you listen.
And then two big fat green things.
Yeah, fair enough. Here we go.
Oh, it's good to see trees again. On the snow. Even from a distance. Remember when we would track blood ox through the frostwind dunes? There was always meat. Always life. You don't think it's strange that we lost our home when Gul'dan came to power?
One orc cannot kill a world, Duratan.
Are you sure? Look around you. Does it not remind you of something? Wherever Gul'dan works his magic, the land dies. If our people are to make a home here, my friend, Gul'dan must be stopped.
So there you have it. Phil, you had a problem with the voices, either just because it was in the cinema with the sort of echoey chamber, or just the voices full stop.
I just think some of the sound mixing was a bit difficult to understand some of the dialogue. And when you've got so many sort of new, unknown words, either fancy names of places or characters, it just can mean it all gets a bit lost. So I think maybe they've missed the trick by making it a bit inaudible.
No, I think you might be right. But on the plus side, and you know, this isn't a sideways stab at the movie, although you might interpret it that way, if you do miss some of those bits of dialogue, it probably doesn't matter too much.
I mean, you get the broad brushstrokes just from what's going on, don't you? So
yeah. So Phil, what did you make of Warcraft: The Beginning?
I really, really wanted to like this film because I'm a big fan of Duncan Jones. I really liked Moon. I really liked Source Code. And I thought, oh, great, this would be really interesting. A good, talented director who's trying to do something exciting with a franchise.
Self-professed fan of this franchise. So
and you think, regardless of I'm not a fan of Warcraft. I don't know anything really about the lore. But I thought kind of they just use it as a launching pad for a new fantasy kind of epic thing with different races and quite interesting designs. I found that the film was really messy. I found it very difficult to follow the narrative threads. I found it very difficult to care. Is that ringing true with you, Laurie?
Well, unfortunately, I think I agree. I don't know whether I'd use the word messy. What I particularly felt was it was too full. It was too stuffed. You know, you stuff in that chicken, don't stuff it so full that the chicken rips apart. How's that? It's gross.
It's horrible.
Sorry. Try, a cooked chicken. Anyway, move past that. The problem was they had too many sort of narrative plot points to hit. And there were so many of them that affected so many other things. And there's a lot of back and forth going on, people in one camp and then the other, but you don't really know why, people in this place and another one, and the places become important. But because there was so much of that in there, it was really hard to understand why and what almost any
like,
of their decisions.
Almost like it was messy.
Well, yeah, fair enough. The thing is, I didn't think things were in the wrong place. I just thought they were so squished together. There wasn't enough time to orient yourself, orientate yourself.
I can see what you mean. I think it just jumped around a lot. I wonder whether or not there was a longer movie in this movie that got cut down and hacked to pieces.
I said the same thing, man, and my notes say that I made in the cinema, I wonder whether it was more than one film even, but during either test screenings or the directing, editing process, they decided to just say, no, come on, let's just make this a one-hit wonder.
Well, it's the beginning, so presumably they're going to do another one.
But that's what I mean, maybe they don't want to spend too long in the beginning.
Yeah, maybe. But was there things that you liked about the movie, Laurie?
Well, I think the places are really beautiful. It's surprisingly, given that an enormous part of this movie is CGI, and by enormous, I think we're talking Jungle Book levels here, like most of the landscapes and sets that they're in are totally CGI'd.
Green screen.
Yeah, thank you. But actually, that was okay. They did it well. There's a floating city that hits the screen at one point. I thought even the orc sort of home world, it was quite compelling. I rather enjoyed it. And to be honest, the scenes where it was just orcs on screen, who were very, very well motion captured, I thought, and the faces are quite well animated and painted even. I found those scenes the most convincing in the whole film.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think there's a really good look to the character designs and things like that. I think the film probably maybe even could have done well with being all motion capture.
Yeah.
Get rid of any human element, because if the human's the only realistic part of the film, maybe they don't need to be there.
Well, the thing is, man, I think it has to be, because this story is orcs versus humans, isn't it?
I mean, not that the humans shouldn't be in it, but why not motion capture humans or something, and then you can do sort of these larger-than-life human characters, but just in a very realistic way.
No, I hear there are other things I liked as well. I thought, weirdly, when you hear about a film that is based on a game which is a war game, right? I expect to see loads of fight scenes that are confusing and hard to follow. There weren't very many fight scenes, actually, in this movie, I didn't think. And when they were there, I thought those were my favourite bits. I'm surprised to say. Normally, I hate that.
There was one particular sequence where there's an ambush by the orcs on the humans, which I thought was really exciting, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect to see sort of quite the sort of intensity that it gave us. I really like the magic used in the film as well.
Yeah, and it looked quite good. They were nice. That actually was storyboarded quite well, because the delays it took for the spell people to work their wonders worked. Like, you could believe that they had to go and stand over by a tree and sort of, guys, give me a second, I just need to get
draw
the
this on the
right.
ground.
Yeah, and that kind of worked. That was all okay. But there wasn't enough of that. There was rather too much kind of human orc drama going on, and I'm afraid that was its weakest point by a country mile. What did you think of the performances?
I thought motion capture by Toby Kebbell, who you might not recognise, but you might have seen his performances. He was one of the key apes in Planet of the Apes. He was the evil ape.
Ah.
So he's an experienced motion capturer.
How does an evil ape do business?
I don't know. No! He did a good job with the motion capture and performance. I liked Duratan, Orc Daddy.
Yeah.
I thought he did a good job. And I liked the Lothar guy, the main
Travis
human.
Emmel, I think is his name.
Yeah, who I don't think is particularly known for anything, really.
And he's a TV guy, I think, yeah. I can't remember the series, but I think that's where he's from.
I thought he was really giving some conviction to his lines, and he felt like he was lived in and believable. And yeah, but other than those, actually, one other performance that I did quite like, but I know you didn't, was Paula Patton, who you might know from Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol.
Oh yeah, that is where she's from. Good catch, man. Well done. She plays the kind of sexy orc. Can I describe her like that?
Yeah, fur bikini.
Yeah, that's right. Now, listeners, I have to say, this is just nonsense. So this character is introduced to us. She's chained up for some reason. I still didn't really understand that. And
she's a half-breed.
Thank you. So the humans therefore liberate her. Half-breed with what? A human? Because there are no humans in their other world. That's what she looked like. Oh, okay, let's leave that aside. But she's wearing a fur bikini. Now, I'm not a clothes designer, Phil. I don't really understand a lot about textiles and fabrics, but a fur bikini seems to be and what's the word I'm looking for here?
Paradox?
Thank you, a paradox. Because fur is a clothing that you tend to use to be quite warm. Like a fur coat. If you look back in the fur coats of the Russian Empire,
I don't think you need to explain about why fur's
warm. But I'm trying to see it's a dramatic impact I'm going for here, Phil. Whereas a bikini typically is more to be very, very cold, isn't it? You don't want to be too hot, so you strip the fabric away as much as possible. So having a fur bikini seems to me to be utter nonsense unless what you're hoping for is to reveal some flesh in a tribal sort of way. Am I
Return
right?
of the Jedi Leia style, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what she was there for, Phil. Can you admit that?
She was there. She was a bit of eye candy, or eye candy.
Do you know what? And actually, I made too many notes about this character, and don't worry, I won't go too preachy, but I had a lot of problems with her character. And her looks is one of them, because she has very small teeth. You know, the orcs have got big tusks, but hers are small enough, just small enough, so you know they're there, right? But you don't really notice them. So, do you know where I'm going with this? So it's like, oh, she's an orc, and there is something that isn't quite, really good looking about her. But the rest of her is good, right? Yeah, the rest of her is good. It's not a problem. And it's the same thing with her character as well. She is, just damaged enough. Can you understand what I mean by that phrase, damaged?
Yeah.
It's kind of emotionally, her self-esteem is low, having been an outcast all her life. She's got that slightly annoying, I have to admit, fantasy/gamer trope of being a beautiful woman who's just got a low self-image enough that they'll go for quite an ordinary guy. And not just that, but that ordinary guy will be like a hero to them.
They need somebody who will see the inner beauty.
To rescue
even
them.
though they're beautiful outside.
Yeah, and maybe this is just me overanalyzing things. I often do, but I think that's a slightly troubling character type. I don't really like it because it maintains this idea that she is, however feisty she is, ultimately she is there to be won over by some guy, and she's ultimately going to look up to them as if they're her greatest hero in the world. And anyway, that's just my thoughts on it.
I don't really know what to say now, because I quite liked her in the film. I thought she was quite an interesting character. She gave a bit of diversity to the film.
You wouldn't mind getting a nip from those teeth and a kiss?
No, I wouldn't want that, actually. No, thank you.
Right, okay. Okay, well, let's move on from there. Now, there were some positively bad things, Phil, other than just the messiness of the story. What would you say they were?
We were talking about performances, so let's stick on that same vein. Dominic Cooper's in this film. And he's quite a well-regarded British actor, sort of young, hot thing.
Good one.
But hopefully you know what I mean. He was atrocious. He was genuinely bad, wasn't he?
I made a specific note of that myself, man. Independently, I thought he was dreadful.
He just seemed unbearably flat, and like he didn't want to be there, like he didn't really know how to act, and he didn't know where... I think he didn't even know where he was looking or what he was looking at, so he just seemed utterly flat.
And this is my key problem. I don't know whether to lay that at the feet of Dominic Cooper or, unfortunately, at Duncan Jones, because it's a director's job to make the call. Yeah, we got it, guys. That's a wrap. Is that what I say?
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's his job to make sure that the actors are staged in the frame correctly, yeah? But the way that he moves was a real problem. He sort of ambled around. Did you notice that? He didn't really seem to know where he was. Maybe it's a green screen thing.
Maybe he just wasn't very good with green screen.
That could be it, because I thought there was even some things that genuinely seemed amateurish to me, and also in his clothes as well, which looked like they'd been made in a sort of fancy dress shop.
I quite like the clothes, man. I like the look of it all. I like the
fact
that
I thought they were too clean, too plastic looking. His throne was disastrous.
But I think with the sort of these bright, colourful landscapes and everything like that, I thought it all kind of worked for me. The look of the film, I didn't mind at all. I thought it was quite nice, and I liked the fact they had this ridiculously overlarge armour with these massive shoulder pads and everything like that. I just thought, I haven't seen this before. Normally I've seen the kind of gritty medieval style of fantasy. And I feel like this is, if it is a fantasy film, like, fair enough, go all out, like, make it fantastical.
I hear you. I just, like, in particular, it's the soldiers. The only guy who ever looks grimy or beaten up is the main guy.
Yeah, and he was the best part of the human race, I say.
Like, his son is the most clean-cut looking kid in the world. It's like he's on his way to the dance or something.
The dance.
The dance. Yeah, you know what I mean.
But on Duncan Jones, I don't think you can really say he's a bad director. I mean, fair enough, maybe you get a bad job with Dominic Cooper, or maybe it's Dominic Cooper who's bad. But he did a good job with some of the actors, and they seem to work. And just based on his previous films, you got to say he does know how to make a film.
Yeah, no, he does. Maybe he was too close to the source material. That's the problem. Because I have heard from people who love it, and I admit I've never played Warcraft, don't know us at all. People who really love it seem to really, really love this film. So maybe that is the answer. If Duncan Jones is a fan, as he says he is, maybe he knows how to hit those beats, but not so much for those of us who don't know it.
I got the sense, I don't know about you, but there were loads of Easter eggs which just flew right over my head.
Well, yeah, I didn't pick up on... I wouldn't recognise them if they were
exactly.
there,
and so I wonder, maybe if you're a big fan of the video game, you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, amazing.
They did that. They got that in. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, there was none of that. And so it felt very disjointed and very flat, and a lot of character motivations just weren't there.
No, I agree. I've only got a couple of closing comments, man, then let's grade it and get out of here. But did you notice Angel from X-Men 3 The Last Stand?
Really?
Come on, he was the Guardian.
Was he?
Yeah, come on.
The wizard, Mizdav.
Medivh. Thank you.
Medivh.
You reminded me of a name. Good work. Yeah, Medivh the Guardian. That was Angel from X-Men 3: The Last Stand.
He was bad.
Yeah, he was. And he had one of my least favourite scenes in the whole movie, which I'm afraid just looked like really either dreadful editing or poor direction, because there's one point where they go to confront this guy, some characters go to confront him, and they race up there, and he defeats them both very, very easily, very, very quickly, and they kind of are thrown to the side that way. And in fact, one of them isn't even thrown to the side. He's held there being strangled by magic, right? And then it cuts to some orcs doing something. Then it cuts back to this scene.
And it's completely different
And
circumstance.
all of a sudden, they're both fine. In fact, they're both just hiding behind a pillar, making a plan. And I thought, well, how's that happened? There seemed to be a scene missing where this guy just forgets that they're there or something. It was very odd.
I think that's consistent throughout all the movie.
And my last one is, wasn't it good to see Buckbeak the Hippogriff back on screen? He's been out of movies for a while. I don't know what he's been doing. Maybe he's a bit like Daniel Day-Lewis. He's gone off to try his hand at carpentry or something.
I think he's been doing charity work.
Oh, is that what it is? Fair enough. I mean, it's got to be, it's got to be done. When you're a big star like that, any star power you can take to a worthy cause is valuable, isn't it?
Hip hop hippogriffs.
Yeah, good one. All right, what's your grade?
I'm going to give this a C-. I don't think I really want to see it again.
I'm afraid
it a bit boring.
Yeah, I share that, Phil, and I also echo that exact word. My main thing to throw at it, too boring. Sorry, Warcraft fans, but do get in touch. I know there are people out there who've loved this film. Immediately after coming out, I was chatting to a guy who works at Odeon saying how good he thought it was, and I was kind of saying, I'm sorry, man, I can't agree. So just tell us what your opinions are. That's what we want.
That's what we want. Email us at superbaileybros@gmail.com. Yes, Phil. And tweet us at superbaileybros.
Correct. Okay.